Hey folks, welcome to Thinking Theology. I'm Don. I grabbed another Christopher Hitchens short off the net. He's pretty popular on the channel, so to speak. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'm not dogmatic about things. I look at the arguments being made, and people ask me questions. One of the answers is, do I believe that one of the questions is, do I believe that the biblical texts about Jesus and such are the right account? And my general answer is no. There's a lot lacking in them, although I formerly did believe this, but I did very, very extensive research of my own, not based on a group, and I came to the conclusion that some of the ideas that I formerly held were not supported at all by the texts, and not because somebody else said it. I don't care what other people say. I formulate my own opinions. But I'm going to look at what Christopher Hitchens says. What gives your life meaning, I suppose, or purpose? So I don't know what his ideas are on this one, but it's 56 seconds, and then I'll just share my thoughts on what he's got to say.
People have the nerve to ask me, well, if you don't believe in heaven and hell, what gives your life meaning? Do you not detect a slight insult as well as a slight irrationality to that question? You mean I'd have much more meaning in my life if I thought that I would die and I'd be given one chance, or would have been given while I was alive, one chance, and if I'd made a mistake, I'd be condemned eternally. That was the kind of judge I'd be facing. And in the meantime, it would be advisable to live my life in propitiation of this supernatural dictator. That would lend more meaning to my life than my view.
I'm going to pause. That's not a terrible perspective, I'll tell you. I mean, I understand that what he just said, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I do believe that there's a creator. I don't think it's the creator that's spoken of in the Hebrew Bible or the Christian text or Quran or whatever. To me, I think that somebody, something, some energy, something gave birth, if you will, somehow to the matter that we see in the universe. Could be completely wrong. Maybe the matter in the universe is always formed and reformed and whatever. But his perspective, I can understand where he's coming from with the notion of living your life in propitiation or be consigned to hell eternally. That just doesn't seem to be the type of loving God you'd want to worship. He didn't say that, but that is part of the impetus, because he's taking to task largely the Christian view on that.
Contra Pascal, that if there's any such judge, I'll be able to say, at least I never faked belief in you in order to win your approbation. And if you are as reported, you'll have detected that those were my thoughts. And at least I wasn't a hypocrite. Pascal says, no, at least pretend you believe. It's win-win. This is corrupt reasoning. It's the reasoning of a huckster. And it lends no meaning to life at all.
It's difficult to disagree with that perspective. I think it is a fair question for people to ask, because based on their paradigm or based on the lens through which they view the world, the original question, doesn't some belief in the afterlife give your life meaning, or maybe they mean like greater meaning, other than just a legacy of, say, children and what you've taught them and things that you've shared within the context of your own family and your genetics and all that? Isn't there some greater purpose that would prolong, or if there is an afterlife, as we call it? I think it's a fair question to ask. I don't detect an insult in it, but I think his line of work and his life was dedicated to countering those arguments. So yeah, after a while you'd get tired of them if this is your viewpoint, that there is no God. And then people sort of, I dealt with that in my former Christian faith, where, I never believed the doctrine of the Trinity. That just never made sense to me. I researched it. I wanted to understand it, but it never made sense to me. I had published a 550-page book on the history of the doctrine and the arguments against it from the biblical perspective, the Catholic Church, the Protestant, all this. And because the bulk of Christian churches claim or are Trinitarian, I dealt with it not being a Trinitarian, where people would ask me a question based on their assumption that the Trinitarian faith was the right one. So they kind of set the playing field for the discussion. And I understood it. I wasn't offended by it. I understood that that's their paradigm. So I understand what Hitchens was saying here too. Do you detect a bit of an insult when somebody who believes in an afterlife says, don't you just want to get with the program to give your life meaning, or at least pretend? And I thought he answered it very well, though. He says, no, if there is such a judge, I would say, no, maybe, I don't think he said I honored you, but by not being a hypocrite, I was true to what I believe. And fair enough. I mean, that's a legitimate perspective from my standpoint. So anyway, you guys can leave your comments on this. I don't take a dogmatic stance. I just say whether something makes sense to me or not. His response made sense. Yes, I'm a bit more conciliatory in ways, less argumentative with people. I don't care what people believe as long as they're kind or even just willing to leave me be. But I'll handle my own beliefs or lack thereof. So anyway, all right, folks. I look forward to reading your comments. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video, and keep thinking theology.